Hello and good afternoon. My name is Albert, and thank you for watching the channel. I really appreciate it. I'll never get old. It'll never get old saying that. You feel me? I really do. So long as this guy's got some breath and half a brain, I always will be able to sort of first and foremost recognize that, right? It's the little things. And so, yeah, video number 3 today, and this would mean that there are 9 more after this one. And so far, we've kind of caught up, with the programming. We've then now established that I accidentally broke federal law and was in custody for the whole night in handcuffs. And we've talked about how, time has prevented me and those things from making the videos and stuff. But because of the new subscribers and because of the need, I feel like, to just sort of get the general ice breaking thing out of the way, I want to spend the next few minutes talking about um, me, in terms of like who I am. You know what I mean? Okay, well, let's start. So let's pretend like, we're in a classroom and we're all taking a class. Obviously, that's why we're in the classroom, you feel me? This is our reason for being in the classroom. And it's like sort of my turn, and you guys don't know me at all, and you're like, hey, explain some stuff about yourself, dude. And I'm like, okay, all right, so here goes. So, I was born on October 26th, 1987. I was born in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I was born at the University of New Mexico Hospital, second floor, um, south, northeast corner of the hospital. And so, I'm old now. I'm going to be 37 this year. And I have, experienced a life of fullness. I've experienced a life of luxury in some instances. I've experienced a life of um, abject poverty. I've experienced many different scenarios in my middle-aged, in my own opinion, old life. You know what I mean? I'm the oldest of 5 children. I have 2 youngers and I have 2 younger sisters. I have 2 younger brothers and 2 younger sisters. I am one of many dozens of grandchildren on both my maternal and my fraternal side. I have received public education my entire life. I went to a place called Cochiti Elementary School, and then I went to Garfield Middle School and Taft Middle School. Funny enough, Cochiti Elementary is still around. Garfield, from my understanding, will be closed. Taft has already been closed. So, in my life already, coming from such a small community in what would argue kind of like a rural part of the country, I, have lost parts of my life that I could never get back. Not just me, but hundreds of members of my community now have, no sort of brick and mortar place, to go back to um, in its, exact useful appropriation to the public in which that we had, growing up. Now, I'm from a place called the North Valley. Following middle school, I then went to a place called Valley High School. Go Valley! I'm a Viking. I'm a Viking, for sure, for sure. I attended high school from the years 2002 to 2006. I graduated in 2006 from Valley High School. I'm from the North Valley. I'm from a very, very small place in a generally accepted larger city. We're the largest populated city in the state of New Mexico. We're at a high elevation, and we're a very old city. We're a very old establishment. Many of the families that you encounter here, just as, in other parts of the country, quite often are not only indigenous from just 1 or 2 generations, but, we have in fact been here for many, 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 many generations. and just recently have noticed an explosion in local population growth because Albuquerque has a lot of cool things to offer. None of which include the A&E special Breaking Bad, all of which include the functionality of a person's health as it is living at such a high elevation. And so there's actual, real research as to why cancer patients and certain people suffering from certain health ailments come on over to Albuquerque to receive assistance. And so while in elementary school, I started, I was in things like Rocket Club, I was in chess club, I played basketball, I was in reading club, I was in writing club. I was kind of a nerd. But I've always enjoyed people, and I've enjoyed making friends, and I've had the luxury of having to say that minus, one or two times, I was able to live all of these things out without really being bullied. And we'll get to that. So, middle school comes along, and that's a very eye opening experience. I'm 36 years old, and I still get acne. This is very akin to my middle school years in terms of just like really going through puberty, you feel me, and really sort of showing your pubescence as it would be, you know? And so, yeah, I definitely have stopped growing at right around that age, and like the height aspect, and just started definitely growing in the whole human body experience condition, you know, uh, times in life or whatever. So we'll go back to bullying. So I've lived a life in which I have not been the victim of too much abuse. Just to be honest, right? If any at all, in terms of the definition and the larger scale things, the larger scale, of things. And so in middle school, it was an interesting time, and not too much bullying, except for the face stuff. It was like once I was outside my local community and I was around people that like didn't know me. You know what I mean? Then like it was a problem. I remember going out with friends and stuff, and many many times over, I dealt with people thinking a certain kind of a way about me because of the way that I looked. Now, to my credit, I never really minded known. I minded known. I minded none. I mind no. Anyways, I didn't really care. And as a result of like that kind of indifference to, like some of the things that people would say about me because of my physical stuff, like it helped me, really not care. Like in terms of, people aren't always gonna like what they see, and you know, sometimes they like what they see, and it's just things change, and I again was lucky enough to even still like while all of these things, these minute little sort of fallacies within my own life were happening, that I had a group of friends, who sort of stuck it out with me. And then when I didn't have my friends, I eventually, would have my long term high school girlfriend. And so in high school, right, in the year 2002, over 20 years ago, I began my freshman year in high school. And, you know, I, in high school, had a pretty good experience. You know, I dated a young woman who really, helped me grow as a young man at that particular time. She was my high school sweetheart, or what have you. I've also had some really cliche moments in my life, my very lucky life. This woman has now become like a world renowned doctor, and I can't make that up. Shout out to her. She's killing it for sure, for sure. Just like I always knew she would. I mean, this woman was, still to this day probably the one that challenged me the most, both physically and mentally, and what a challenge. We had some good times together. I think we experienced some life changing moments. Obviously, being together for years in high school, and so I know that my experience again is unique in that I really have few regrets. The regrets that I do have are because of mistakes that I've made, and um, I've tried not to make too many mistakes. Like impacting other people. You know what I mean? Like I really, really, really have tried that my whole life. I really try to like not do things that like cause other people major problems. You feel me? But like I've always had an issue with myself in terms of like putting myself in situations sometimes that are unsafe or not needed, or just high risk, and I just so that has been sort of interesting, right? After I graduated from high school in 2006, I attended the University of New Mexico for a number of years. I lived in the dormitories. I was a new student orientation leader. I was the vice president of community affairs. I was pretty involved on campus. Um, I had the pleasure, and experience of receiving recommendation letters from from people that have a lot of pull, and so I've been very grateful in that regard. In high school, um, I started speech and debate as a sophomore, and would go on to become state champion 3 times every year. The last year, obviously, winning state champion, which is a big deal because New Mexico is really competitive with their public education teams, the New Mexico Athletic Association, which includes speech and debate. So I, have a lot of love and a lot of teaching from people who've made it their life to, teach these things. And this woman, her name's Ellie Lassiter. She picked me up again as I was a sophomore in high school. And funny story, this woman like saw me like making out with my girlfriend and wanted me to like stay out of trouble, and thought I had some potential. I was a student in her communication class, and she straight up like recruited me, and then went on to again be very competitive in speech and debate. I do believe that that particular time period at my high school was the most winning of all time in any sport, including football, basketball, baseball, track and field, cross country, swimming, wrestling. We killed it. I'm so proud of my team. To be a part of that team was awesome. Really, we had a really, really, really good team. It was a time in life where you couldn't make anything better. You feel me? Like we were unstoppable. It was crazy. And it was just like 9 of us, just 9 of us from this little school beating, people from teams where their schools were bigger, were more well equipped with money, and support. But I've talked about the underdog before, and why I appreciate it, and it's because I've always been an underdog. It's never really mattered. I've never gone in as the favored heavyweight. You feel me? And in fact, it's always been sort of the unfavored underweight in terms of how society has sort of um, you know, place these restrictions on winners only being a certain kind of a way, you know what I mean? In whatever kind of a way that is that stereotypically fits that genre. I have made it sort of a mission in life to just break down barriers. It's cool. I want to do this. We're doing it. Let's do it, type of thing. And it's been something again that I've inherited from many, many people, being in an environment that encouraged conversation and discussion and critical thinking. You know, and so the video isn't going to be more than 20 minutes. I am surprised it's that long to begin with. Who watches this video, I'm not even sure, but for what it is, it's just some time getting to know me on a super personal level. I did speech and debate in college, and after UNM, I attended Luna Community College in Las Vegas, New Mexico, and then I attended the Community College of Denver in Denver. So, in my adult life, many things have happened, and I think that's a time for a different period, like a different period for a different time. I feel like it's appropriate now. We've gotten myself basically to college. I, in the interim, cannot stress how much of a family guy that I was and that I am. When I say family, I mean specifically, I was a grandma's boy, and I recently lost my grandmother on my birthday last year. So my grandma has always been the common sort of reoccurring theme in my life to rein me in, to sort of provide me guidance, to sort of make sure that her hito is doing good. It's been fun getting old. It sucks when people die. You feel me? Like, and so it's important. It's I think growing up and sharing, I just went off on a whole thing about sharing earlier, but I love my life. Sometimes I also absolutely hate it, you know, but those feelings are fleeting. And let me tell you that I'm from Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I know nothing else in terms of wanting to accept people, thinking people are friendly, trying to befriend people. So I hope that by me, sort of sharing my background and being open about anything and everything will sort of, make me a little different, I guess, in that way, or not. Maybe just like the same like everybody else. I guess it really doesn't matter. I feel comfortable now knowing that we've talked a little bit about my history and where I come from, and I think it's important for people to know their history and where they come from. I know a lot about mine, and I feel very lucky for that. There's a lot that I don't know too, and that I'm sure I'll spend the rest of my life sort of piecing together. And as I start to like get this white hair and get older, it's just a reminder that everything is very beautiful. It's why not enjoy life? You feel me? Why not? I know the answer to that question. There are many, many, many reasons why one person could not potentially enjoy life. But instead of thinking of those million reasons, just try to think about one, as to why it's good. You just need one reason to keep on going. You know what I mean? You could have 10 million that are going against you, but if you got one reason to keep moving forward, it's important to move forward. And so it's been nice telling you about my life. It's been fun. Now it's time to move on. But for those of you that watch this video at any point now or in the future, you feel me? That's who I am, and that's where I come from, and it is the truth, you know. So I'm happy that we're here, and I'm happy that I'm able to share all this stuff with you guys. Okay, so Thanks again for watching the videos. If you haven't already, take a couple of seconds, consider subscribing. I'd really appreciate it. And on to the next 9 videos.